In an ancient city, where the weight of the past mixed with the present and created an atmosphere of mystery and intrigue, there was a place known as the Shadow Market. During the day, this city was like any other, with its busy streets, sunny squares, and inhabitants coming and going. However, at night, the Shadow Market rose from the depths of the city, like a supernatural phenomenon that defied logic. Locals had a complex relationship with this night market. While the days were filled with routine and work, the nights were marked by scary stories, urban legends, and whispered secrets. The Shadow Market was known for its offering of unique and mysterious wares, from rare antiques to exotic ingredients, but it was also shrouded in an aura of haunting and strangeness. At night, the narrow alleys leading to the market took on a feeling of profound darkness, and the ancient lanterns that lit the way cast unsettling shadows on the stone walls. Anyone who ventured there would find stalls selling items that defied human understanding. From tribal masks to supposedly cursed mirrors, the Shadow Market was a place where horror stories came true. A young woman named Isabella, despite hearing countless scary stories about the market, felt attracted to it. Her curious spirit and fearless personality led her to ignore the warnings and venture through the city's winding streets towards the market during a full moon night. Isabella was determined to unravel the mystery surrounding the Shadow Market. She dressed in a heavy coat to protect herself from the night's cold and used a scarf to hide part of her face, a precaution that most market visitors took. As she approached the market, the feeling that something was wrong intensified. As soon as he crossed the market entrance, the atmosphere changed. The light from the lantern seemed dimmer, and a strange sensation that time was following a different rhythm began to disturb Isabella. The stalls were strangely organized, with products ranging from mysterious amulets to vials containing liquids that gave off an otherworldly glow. Isabella observed the movement of market-goers, but something about them bothered her. Their gazes were empty and distant, as if they were under some kind of enchantment. Even when they laughed and talked among themselves, there was an absence of genuine joy on their faces. As she explored the market, Isabella found herself drawn to one stall in particular. The seller, a man with a hood that shadowed his face, offered antiques from various cultures and eras. Among the items on display, a tribal mask carved from wood caught Isabella's attention. The mask was incredibly detailed, with carved eyes that seemed to follow her when she moved. Isabella reached for the mask and studied it with fascination. She felt a strange connection to the object, as if something inside her was drawn to the mask and vice versa. However, as he examined her, a whispering voice seemed to emanate from the mask, a voice that echoed in his mind, revealing dark secrets and unsettling visions. The salesman, with a sinister smile, approached Isabella and said in a soft voice, "This mask is more than it seems, young lady. It has the power to reveal the future, but that comes at a price. Are you willing to switch off?" Isabella stared at the carved tribal mask, feeling enveloped by the whispering words emanating from it. It was as if the mask was trying to communicate with her in some way. The salesman's words, although cryptic, intrigued her even more. She knew that curiosity was about to lead her down a dark path. "What exactly do you mean by revealing the future, and what is the price I must pay?" Isabella asked, her voice wavering slightly despite her determination. The salesman smiled, a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "This mask is an ancient relic, with links to ancient mystical arts. When you wear it, it will show visions of what is to come in your life. However, for each vision, you must sacrifice a precious memory from your past. It is like this that balance is maintained." The salesman's words echoed in Isabella's ears. She pondered the implications of the bargain she was about to make. Sacrificing precious memories was a high price to pay, but his curiosity outweighed his fear. She nodded, determined to find out what the future held and unlock the mysteries of the Shadow Market. The seller nodded and accepted the money Isabella offered. He then held the mask and positioned it over her face. Isabella felt the mask settle, its dark innards touching her skin. A chilling sensation ran through his body as the mask whispered more unintelligible words. As the mask took its position, the market seemed to shift around it. The ancient lanterns that illuminated the place began to sway, casting dancing shadows on the stone walls. The air grew heavier, and Isabella felt that she was plunging into an unknown realm, a realm of dark visions and mysteries. Visions began to unfold before Isabella's eyes. She was standing in the same place, but at the same time, she saw herself in different scenarios and situations. The images were disturbing and terrifying. She saw raging fires consuming the shadow market. In another vision, grotesque, hungry creatures emerged from the shadows of the market, hunting unsuspecting visitors. The mask revealed even more disturbing visions, each one stealing a precious memory from Isabella. She watched as happy moments from her childhood, romantic encounters, and even her family's faces faded from her mind. Tears streamed down his face, but the mask showed no mercy. It was a grim bargain, and Isabella had entered a vicious cycle of terrifying visions and loss of memories. Night advanced, and Isabella, now with the tribal mask still on her face, staggered through the streets of the shadow market, her mind tormented by the terrifying images the mask continued to reveal. She was trapped in a downward spiral of fear and despair, unable to control the visions or stop the loss of her memories. The market seemed to twist and move around him, as if the shadows had a life of their own. The people she encountered were empty figures, with empty, apathetic looks. No one could help her, as everyone seemed trapped in their own dark experiences. In the darkness of the night, Isabella realized that she had made a terrible bargain. The mask had revealed his future, but at an unfathomable cost. Her precious memories had been stolen, and she was lost in a maze of nightmares in the shadow market, with no hope in sight. She knew that, somehow, she would need to find a way out of this hellish cycle. As Isabella wandered the shadow market with the tribal mask still adhered to her face, she felt the visions intensify, becoming increasingly disturbing and distressing. Every step she took seemed to take her deeper into the dark abyss of the market. All around him, sinister shadows seemed to dance and twist. She saw dark figures lurking around corners and between stalls, watching her with hungry eyes. The feeling of being hunted by something supernatural became overwhelming. The visions continued to torment her. She saw herself being chased by the shadowy figures, desperately trying to escape, but always being caught up. The feeling of terror was overwhelming, and Isabella began to question her decision to enter the shadow market. But the price she had agreed to pay could not be avoided. The mask, with its supernatural power, continued to reveal the future, but with each vision, it stole a precious memory from Isabella. She felt as if she was being emptied of her most cherished memories, leaving her in a state of confusion and anxiety. It was as if his very identity was crumbling. Happy moments from his childhood, the loving faces of his family, and the details of meaningful experiences were fading from his mind, as if they were just fleeting shadows. One night, Isabella woke up in her bed, with the tribal mask still on her face. She had no memory of how she got there. The visions that the mask gave him became more and more real, as the line between dream and reality became blurred. She was trapped in a nightmare she couldn't escape. Desperate for help, Isabella sought out an expert in supernatural phenomena. She hoped to find a way to break the mask's curse and end the cycle of disturbing visions and loss of memories. The specialist warned her that she had entered an abyss of nightmares where the supernatural was real and relentless. He explained that the mask was an ancient tool, a relic that fed on the memories of those who dared do business with it. The only way to break the cycle was to find the seller who'd sold her and undo the shadowy contract. The specialist also warned her about the supernatural creatures that protected the shadow market and that she would have to face to reach the seller. Determined to recover her memories and free herself from the cursed mask, Isabella embarked on a dangerous journey towards the shadow market. She knew the market was a dark place full of danger, but she had no other option. The mask continued to steal her memories, and she was losing herself. The night was thick when Isabella approached the market. She could hear ominous whispers in the wind and felt the eyes of the shadows turn to her as she walked down the winding alley that led to the entrance. Every step she took her deeper into the darkness of the shadow market. The place seemed to writhe and move as if it were alive. Sinister shadows stretched and shrank, creating frightening patterns on the stone floor. Isabella could feel the presence of invisible creatures watching her, waiting for the right moment to act. She knew that the only way to find the seller and cancel the contract was to face these creatures and follow the obscure clues that had been given by the expert. Her heart beating wildly, she continued forward, determined to put an end to her shadow market nightmare once and for all. Isabella was immersed in the darkness of the shadow market, her journey progressing toward an inevitable confrontation with the mysterious vendor who had sold her the cursed mask. The market seemed to live at night, with shadows twisting and dancing around her, as if celebrating the inevitability of her arrival. She continued to advance, with the tribal mask still adhered to her face. The terrifying visions persisted, but Isabella was now determined to find the seller and undo the dark contract that had dragged her into the abyss. With every step she took, the shadow market seemed to transform, as if the shadows around her were alive, watching her expectantly. She felt the market was about to reveal its deepest, darkest secrets. Finally, after following a winding trail, Isabella found the vendor's stall. The man, shadowed by a hood, waited for her, his sinister smile remaining unchanged. He seemed to be aware of her imminent arrival and seemed confident in his ability to keep Isabella locked into his bargain. Isabella approached with determination, although her heart was filled with fear. She looked into the salesman's eyes, which were shining with an ominous light, and said in a firm voice, "I demand that you break the contract. Release me from this curse." The salesman laughed, a sound that sent shivers down Isabella's spine. "You don't understand, young lady. The contract has been made, and the price has been paid. There is no going back." Isabella wouldn't take no for an answer. She explained to the salesman that the terrifying visions and loss of memories had left her life in shambles, and she was determined to regain what she had lost. She begged, offering anything in exchange for her freedom. The seller finally relented, but on one condition. "I agree to break the contract, but you must make a promise in return. You must never return to the shadow market, and you must warn everyone who crosses your path to do the same." This place is not for the faint of heart. Isabella, desperate to regain her memories and free herself from the nightmare she had entered into, immediately agreed to the seller's condition. She promised that she would never return to the shadow market, and that she would do everything possible to prevent others from being drawn into the same dark abyss. The salesman, with his sinister smile still on his lips, began working to break the contract. He took the tribal mask and, with a mysterious gesture, removed it from Isabella's face. A sense of relief washed over her, and she felt as if she were emerging from an endless nightmare. However, the memories she had lost could not be recovered. Isabella had learned the hard way that the shadow market was a place of dark and dangerous bargains, where the price of her shares could be terrible. She left the market behind, her experience now becoming one of the many scary stories circulating around the city. She hoped that by sharing her story, she could stop others from being drawn into the mystery of the shadow market, and that no one else would have to face the horror she had faced. As she walked away from the market, she knew that the city's dark past and the shadow market would continue to exist, waiting to lure those who dared enter its dark depths. What she had faced was just one of the many frightening stories that permeated the city, proving that the supernatural and the unknown were more real than anyone could imagine.